Now, here he is describing Nara's arrival from paradise and is descending down. And therefore, as mighty lightning streak, a glory fell nearing the rapt eyes of the sage. Sage Nara here looked out from luminous cloud and strangely limned his face, a beautiful mask of antique joy. You got it? Yeah, joy. Appearing in light, descended, where arose King Ashwapati's palace to the winds in Madra, flowering up in delicate stone. These are the only two appearances where he is called king, King Ashwapati. Now here, King Ashwapati is pertinent because he is describing the palace of Ashwapati, and Narad is coming from heaven, from the spiritual plane into the physical plane in the palace of Ashwapati, and therefore King Ashwapati. And there is a little description of Ashwapati's palace also following that you see. Now here again on our line 98.4, King Ashwapati listened to the ray. Why king is required? In other places, king is not there. But why king is required here? Because Ashwapati is occupied with the activities of governance. And in spite of that, he is withdrawing into meditation, into silence. And in that trance, it is he who is going to receive the message. The other sound then made the sense fond ear on a subtle interspace with rings of a life, unlocked were the inner spirits, trance to close the doors. So he is in a trance. He is now in the inner world. The inaudible strain in nature could be caught. So when you are in the trance position, then the inaudible strain sounds could be heard. Across the cyclic tramp of eager lives, across the deep urgency of present cares. You see, again, he's saying present cares. He is referring once more the king's duties, King Ashwapati. Present care, earth's wordless hymn to the ineffable. Earth is constantly offering prayers to the inexpressible, to the ineffable. Arose from the ardent heart of the cosmic void. Earth itself has come up, sprung up from the void, and it is from that earth is raising her voice. In fact, that is what I got here. Struck again, sorry, unfulfilled desire, what we had. It is that thing again coming here. Earth's wordless saying to the ineffable arose from the ardent heart of the cosmic void. He heard a voice repressed of unborn powers, murmuring behind the luminous bars of time. So time is shutting off those voices behind the bars of time. He is hearing that voice, repressed of unborn powers. Powers are there which are not taken birth. It is they who are holding back that voice, that sound, that command. And therefore, again, the mighty yearning raise its flame. That, because he is describing unfulfilled desire, new roots, a new more, a new creation, they are all interlinked, you see. Murmuring behind the luminous bars of time. Yeah. Again, the mighty yearning raise its flame that asks a perfect life on earth for men and prays for certainty in the uncertain mind and shadowless bliss for suffering human hearts and truth embodied in an ignorant world and Godhead divinizing mortal form. This is the yearning. In one sentence, he has described the entire sweep of yearning. What? Perfect life, then certainty of thought, then shadowless bliss, a bliss that does not carry darkness around. Truth embodied in the ignorant world, truth itself taking a body. And then, of course, Godhead divinizing mortal forms. It is that kind of a voice he is hearing already. In other words, this meditation of Ashwapati is in the context of this new creation of Godhead divinizing mortal forms, which is indicated already here. And that will happen when Savitri sets on her journey forward. and Godhead divinizing mortal form, a word that leaves from some far sky of thought. It is coming from above. The word is coming from above. Admitted with a cowed receiving scribe. Now, cowed, the monk who has got a hood on his head, he is receiving, means our brain. Our brain has a cowl of ignorance, and through that it is penetrating that voice. And brain is what after all? Brain is not the place where thought is born. Brain is only a scribe. It scripts what is given to it. Admitted by the cowed receiving crying, travelled the echoing passages of his brain and left its stamp on the recording cells. That is what happens in the case of Ashwapati in his meditation. He is silent, calm. In fact, this is exactly the description of what happens as described by Shivandu in this silent mind. When he got the experience of silent mind for the first time around 1st January 1908, he saw that the thoughts were coming from outside and they were entering into him. One could allow them to enter in, or one could stop them also. It is when they enter in you, then the brain becomes active and gives to those thoughts its own form. Now, what does Ashwapati here? We have got a complete description of that. Now, cow, I got here a small passage from Emerson. He is talking of the cow. A hooded garment, of course, worn by monks. Cowl. I like a church. I like a cowl. This is what Emerson is saying. I love a prophet of the soul, which is very good. I love a prophet of the soul. And on my heart, monastic eyes. On my heart, monastic eyes fall like sweet strains or pensive smiles. When I'm in that meditation, then they fall in my heart. Sweet strains, sweet notes of music, or pensive smile. Yet not for all his faith can be. All of us do not have that faith. Only very few can have that kind of a faith. Would I that could, would I that cowed churchman be? Yes, I wish that I am also that cowed churchman who can receive the sweetness and the smile in his heart. Now, Ashwapati is receiving that kind of a thing here already at a much deeper level, of course. Now, this is important. Admitted by the cowed receiving scribe, traveled the echoing passages of his brain and left his stamp on the recording cells. Now, later on, 129.9, we have a very, very elaborate description of thoughts entering into us, how where the thoughts are born. 129 on the right, second sentence. 129.9. Yeah, got it? Yeah. See, this is the description when Savitri's yoga has advanced to the stage of nirvana. She was told that she must annul herself fully. She must empty herself out fully. That only God may be. She must remove everything from her empty cup that only God may be. Now she was given instruction to follow that principle, and Savitri is now making progress in that direction. And what does Savitri see? She sees that thoughts are born elsewhere, not within us. Thoughts come from outside. Here he says there are two sources of thought. Savitri says, in our unseen subtle body, thought is born. It is the birth of thought is in our subtle body, our sukshma sharira, subtle body, sukshma causal body. It is there that the thought is born. Or there it enters from the cosmic field. The two sources of thought is our subtle body or coming from above. Now, in our subtle body, there is a long description. We'll not go into that fully. But thought is born. It can be born in our soul. It can be born in our heart. It can be born in our throat. It can be born on our brows here. Means different parts of our body, on the navel, below. Then even the limbs, the thought can take birth in the subtle body of the physical. Thought can take birth from that. The whole description follows that. Thought in our subtle body, thought is born, or there it enters from the cosmic field. Either it is born from within us, or it comes from the cosmic field. Now, this is exactly what is happening here. We are going back to 98.7. A word that leaped from the far sky of thought. So, in this case, Ashwapati, the thought is coming to Ashwapati not from his subtle body, but from the cosmic field. In the case of Ashwapati, the thought is coming from the cosmic, a far sky of thought from above, admitted by the cow receiving scribe. Mind is brain is only scribe receiving. Traveled the echoing passages of his brain and left his stamp on the recording cells on the physical plane. So that is the birth of thought, and we have got a very long description there. In fact, we shall see also in greater detail when we come to Savitri's yoga. But already the hint is drawn here, dropped here. See, that way, the Savitri is very consistent. I mean, one description does not go in contradiction with the description elsewhere, like that. You see, because it is a realized experience which is expressed. Now, what does Ashwapati listen? He listens not directly for himself, but it is a kind of an address to the human race. O force compelled, fate driven, earthborn race. It is addressed to the entire race itself. Force compelled. We have no freedom of our own. By some higher force, superior force, we are driven. Force compelled, fate driven. Otherwise, fate. Force coming from above. Fate, the working of nature. It is by these all our actions and movements governed. O petty adventurers in an infinite world. Yeah, the world is so vast, but after all, our adventures are small, trivial. And prisoners of a dwarf humanity. Yes, this is what we are, prisoners of dwarf humanity. How long will you trade the circling tracks of mind around your little self and petty thing? How long? How long you will continue to do the drudgery, the same routine, same kind of activities day after day? How long will you trade the circling tracks of mind? In other words, this is an indication that Savitri has to get out of the circling track of mind and open out a new path. The new dawn, the creation's front, it has to open out. That is possible only. Now, this sentence, how long will you trade the circling tracks of mind? See, this kind of a construction appears on a couple of occasions in Savitri. I got here similar constructions. How long you will trade the echoing and circling tracks of mind? Then we have got earlier. How long shall our spirits battle with the night. That is what Ashwapati is telling to the Divine Mother. How long shall our spirits battle with the night? 90.5. He is making a strong plea. 90.5, 90. He is making a very strong plea. How long shall our spirits battle with the night? And here also, how long you will trade the circling tracks of mind? Same thing, you see. Now, in the words, the plea Ashwapati is making, a strong plea Ashwapati is making to the Divine Mother, is repeated here in the case of Savitri. How long this will go on? It has to be a change. There has to be a forward movement. In fact, this kind of a construction appears on two or three other places also. I will just read them here. I got them here noted. How long shall our spirits battle with the night? Then there is another one. But how shall a few escaped release the world? How shall a few escape? Yes, you may attain great siddhis, you may go into nirvana or attain immortality. All right, but then what happens to the rest of the world? How shall a few escape from the clutches of this ignorance? Release the world from ignorance. It cannot happen. How shall come the glory and the flame? That is our kind of a question is asking. Yes, we want that glory and flame. How shall it come? So here also again the same question is repeated. How long we will trade the circling tracks of mind? Yes, you are a mental being, Manomaya Purusha, but you have to now go beyond that. That is the indication. Beyond Manomaya Purusha, you have to make advance towards Vijnanamaya Purusha, from mental being to supermanhood. But not for a chainless littleness were you meant, surely not for that purpose. It is not for smallness, for pettiness that you were born, not for vain repetition were you built. See, he says built. You see, man was built for a certain purpose. He was created for a certain purpose. Out of the immortal substance you were made. If you are born of immortal substance, then how long will you remain circling in these tracks of mind, on the tracks of mind? Your actions can be swift, revealing steps. Your life a changeful mold for growing gods. So that is self is what the voice is telling to Ashwapatri in his meditation. A greater destiny waits you in your front. This transient earthly being, if he wills, can fit his acts to a transcendent scheme. Huh? Oh yeah, I missed that. Yeah, okay. Your life a changeful mold for growing God. A seer, a strong creator is within. The immaculate grandeur broods upon your days. Almighty powers are shut in nature's cells. Well, the voice is telling, look, everything is locked within you. Let them open out. Let them come out. Let the seer become awake and let him see. He is there within you. The strong creator is within him, within you. Let him come out and conquer all the difficulties. The almighty powers are shut in nature's cells. Let them again open out. A greater destiny, when the strong share comes out, when the grandeur opens out, when the almighty powers work in nature's cells, then a greater destiny is fulfilled. This transient earthly being, if he wills, can fit his acts to a transcendent scheme. The connection between what is in time and what is beyond time, that can be established if the transient, if the human race, man, can understand that, if he wills.